Hi, my name is GODWIN SIMBA, the Chief Executive Officer of Finnet Trust Services Limited. We are a governance consulting institution within the financial service space, primarily leveraging on pension advisory and consulting to train and empower the members or the savers in the pension industry, together with the trustees of pension funds who manage those pension funds. And today I want to welcome you to learn more about pension, career opportunities in the market. And here is our offices. You're most welcome.
Oh, thank you very much. How are you?
Very well, thank you.
How is Finnet Trust?
We're keeping well, and karibuni sana.
Asante sana.
You will learn more about us today.
Yes.
Yes, most welcome.
All right, thank you very much.
Please can go to our offices.
All right. Thank you for welcoming us to Finnet Trust.
Very much appreciated, and karibuni sana. This is Finnet Trust Financial Services.
What does Finnet Trust do?
So Finnet is an independent trust company that specializes in pension governance and consulting, and we do so by providing training in the pension industry, primarily training members of the different pension schemes, those who are saving for retirement, and also the trustees who are owners of the funds. So we advise them in terms of different governance areas within the pension industry, and also train them on emerging issues that would help the pension funds grow in the industry.
All right. You've mentioned pension, and let's say someone has just been hearing the word pension. Could you break it down for us what pension means?
Yes, pension is typically a form of saving meant to cater for your retirement life. And as you know that probably people work in their youthful life up to a certain point when they stop working, which normally is the retirement age. And then thereafter they transition into a phase of retirement where probably there is no formal employment in place, there is no medical arrangement in place, and now pension comes in as a safety net to cushion individuals after their working life. Ordinarily people work for close to 30 years, and presumably you start working at around 25 years of age. You will transition probably at an age of 60, that is the normal retirement age in Kenya. Then after 60 years, then perhaps you still have another life of around 20-30 years to live. So pension comes in now to cushion you at that point in time.
All right. Are there certain individuals who are advised or are most likely to take such, or is it open for everyone? Right.
So pension sometimes there are some misconceptions that people have sometimes on pension, that sometimes only meant for people who are at old age. It's not an urgent issue, and sometimes they don't give it a priority. However, you come to realize that pension actually is very critical for any individual, whether you're having a work environment, whether you're employed or not employed, especially so because it's inevitable that at some point all of us will retire. All of us will not be in an active working life. So when you transition at that point, then you need that form of saving. So ideally, pension is meant to cushion you at that point. So it's ideally existing for both people who are working and not those who are not in working. Surprisingly, some statistics in the market actually would surprise you, because you find that 1 in 5 of every individual, whether working or not, actually has a form of pension. That gives you around 20% of people who are in formal and the informal sector. So it tells you that our saving culture has not really moved to that level where people can have disposable income meant for their retirement. And that's when now Finnet Trust comes in, because then we want to empower people, sensitize people that it's important for you to start saving for your retirement, especially when you are still young and you still have disposable income, for 2 good reasons. Number one is because you find that people, when you stop working, you still need to maintain your living, your life, right? So whether you're in Juakali, Mamamboga, or whether you are in formal employment, it gets a point where your body can no longer be active in working. So something has to give in. That means that you have money to take care of you, you have money to, for consumption and all that. Number 2 is also we've discovered that increasingly and statistically, mortality rates in retirement, people actually succumb to death in retirement sometimes due to other reasons other than money, and that comes in when it comes to medical issues in retirement. So you find that when you also grow old, you are susceptible to different old age diseases. So if you don't have a saving plan that can take care of your medical, then that becomes a challenge. So yes, there are available opportunities in the industry that can help you save towards for that pension.
And now, there's a thin line between pension, the insurance, and also the saving part.
Yes, there's a difference between pension, actually the formal pension, the saving for pension, and there's the insurance, which is separate. But then there's also the mandatory saving arrangements, which the government normally requires people to save. Maybe if I can break it down, at a government policy level, I'm sure you are aware of the cash transfers, which are meant for the elderly. So those are now what we call the zero pillar when it comes to the retirement benefits design. A zero pillar is where government is actually cushioning the elderly from adverse effects of old age. And in Kenya currently, I think our old people are paid almost 4,000 shillings a month. Then you come down to savings meant for people who are working, and you find that there's a mandatory pillar, which is now called pillar 2, that is the NSSF. And if you are in a formal employment, you are required by law, or an employer is required by law to contribute for their members. And I think currently we are doing 400 shillings, which is 200 shillings for employee, and the employer caters for 200 shillings. So that becomes 400 Kenyan shillings. Now the third one is when now you are opting as an individual to enroll yourself for a pension plan, especially if you are not in any formal employment. You can actually walk into a financial institution, open up a savings plan meant for your retirement. So that is the third pillar that we do have. But then also you find that employers normally would, because the savings for NSF is very, it's very little when it comes to the cumulative amounts in retirement. You can imagine if you are doing 400 shillings a month, that is almost in a year, that is probably 4,800. Even if you work for 30 years, that amount cannot even take you more than 500,000 Kenyan shillings. So definitely employers have come in now to establish what is called occupational scheme, where you actually contribute for your employees separately. So that is now the structure of the pension arrangements we do have. That is different also from insurance, because an insurance is a cover meant to cushion you in case of any adverse effects happening around you. And therefore you find that individuals will actually, other than saving for pension, they can take insurance like education plans for your children. You can also move in and take what is called group life to, in the event of any death, your beneficiaries get some form of money. And you even find unit trust. So these are different classifications around it. But in the wheels of life, you need to have a balance of both insurance and pension, because you want to cushion yourselves against any adverse effects that may come through.
All right, we have the private pension plans like the ones Finnet offer, and we have the common NSSF. Is there a benefit in one opting for both?
Yes. First of all, the NSSF is mandatory in nature. So if you are in employment, you are required as an employer to actually enroll your employees to NSSF. Substantially, the contribution rates for NSSF are not as substantial, and that's where the risk comes in now. Because then cumulatively you may, within your working life, if you are doing the minimum required amounts of 200 shillings employee, 200 shillings employer, it may not be substantial. So now that's why now people opt for private arrangements, where you walk into a financial institution, joining an individual personal retirement scheme of your choice, then you contribute. You can contribute either a percentage of your salary, or you can contribute a lump sum, depending on how you contribute. Now the difference between the private arrangement and NSSF is that for a private arrangement, you can opt in and opt out at any point in time, because it's more flexible. There are also tax advantages that you have when you go in the private pension arrangement. But for NSSF, you are locked in until when you retire. So you can equate the personal saving plan like a bank account, where you put in money, you earn income over time, Whenever you feel like you are pressed up a bit and you need some cash, you can withdraw, and you can also keep topping up. So it's quite a flexible one.
And does it have interest within it?
Yes. The beauty about saving for a pension plan is actually in two fronts. Number one, you get tax advantages. If you are working currently and you are contributing, say for example, 5,000 shillings, the government has given you up to a tax-free limit of 20,000 every month. So technically it means if you save for pension, you have up to 20,000 which will not be taxed as pay-ye, right?
Yeah.
Then now if you also access that money in retirement, you are not taxed substantially. Some portion of it is not taxed because government also gives you some incentives around that. Even if you go and do a monthly pension arrangement, also government also gives you tax-free amount. So that's one front on why saving for pension is very critical when it comes to the structure and the benefits of it.
All right. Yeah. How many years have you been in the pension industry?
Well, substantially, this is my 16th year in the pension industry. Largely, I've worked across the different sectors of within the pension industry. There is the administration side of the service provision. There is a fund management. And also there's the insurance side of things. So yeah, I've worked for close to 16 years.
And how has the journey been?
Well, it's been interesting. I must admit that within the 16 years, I have grown substantially, right from a management trainee way back up to a level of a managing director in one of the companies within the financial services. And also I've transitioned to also manage a group. At a group level, I've been able to do strategy and product development. And we founded Finnet this year, in May of this year. So it's been quite a journey which has been fulfilling, and we look forward to even greater opportunities in the industry.
All right. What is your training background?
I started as actually did a bachelor's in actuarial science. That was way back at Kenyatta University. Then thereafter I did my MBA, that's Masters in Business Administration, specializing in strategic management. And also in between, when I was at the university, I remember vividly that that was a time when we would forego some of the fun activities and go back to the library most of the time. So I did my CPS examinations, called as Certified Public Secretary Exams, which is administered by CASNEB. So that's the professional course I've done. But then again, I transitioned to do different programs or courses in governance, in leadership, and also in retirement provision. Right.
And is it necessary for someone to get into the pension or, let's say, such an industry? They have to have a background in actuarial science.
Well, that has been sort of a norm in the industry, but not necessarily, because when you look at the pension industry, there are different service providers or different functions within the pension industry. They are the fund managers, who are actually the background is more on investments. There are custodians, who are largely banks. So you find yourself probably working in a bank, but in custody for pension assets. Then there is the administrators, who are now doing record keeping and advisory of trustees. So that now is where now you find most of the people who are working within that space are actually actuarial background individuals, because they do a lot of numbers, statistics, and all that. So in the pension industry, actually, you can fit yourself in different functions. So if you have a background in finance and investments, then probably you may find yourself working within the fund managers kind of the industry. We have close to 20 fund managers in Kenya at the moment. If you have a background in insurance, you can actually be working for the insurance companies who are actually investing assets for the pension. If you have a background in actuarial science, then you are likely to work within the pension administration wing. So there are different facets of pension industry that actually you can tap into the different career opportunities that exist. To surprise you, actually, the pension industry is worth 1.5 trillion as we speak in terms of the assets. Now flip it on this other side and compare it to the assets in the insurance industry. The insurance industry actually is perhaps almost 800 billion in terms of assets. So the pension industry is larger, it's almost double in terms of assets compared to the whole of insurance industry. So within that framework, you can actually identify a lot of opportunities, or there are so many opportunities that you would probably find yourself either working within your career or actually advising within that career space. Yeah.
All right. Are there certain attributes that an individual has to have for them to actually thrive in such an industry?
Right. I would look at it from two aspects. Looking at it from the soft skills and also the technical skills.
Okay.
I think nowadays with our background of education system in Kenya, once you have a degree or once you have gone beyond a diploma program, I think everybody can be up to a challenge or a task. It's not cast in stone, especially if you learn on the job. So that's the first entry level that you're looking at if you are to get into that space. But then there are other skills that you acquire over time, including learning on the job, which is very important. Trying to look at how do you learn the learning on the job. That now will take into the soft skills that you have. So I think one of the critical success factors that may actually thrive you within the pension industry largely is the ability to be able to understand the market in itself. It's a technical area, and sometimes people perceive it as very complex. But when you also, the complexity comes in because of the different stakeholders, different service providers, and the functionalities around the regulations that is anchoring the retirement benefits. So as I mentioned before, you find that actuaries provide services to the pension industry. You have auditors, you have insurance companies, you have fund managers, administrators, custodians, and all of them have specific qualifications that comes in. So for you to be able to master the industry, you must be able to understand what is the role of all these stakeholders, and also be able to, other than what you've learned in school, you must be able to look at what are those additional courses or programs that can easily make you a good fit within the industry.
All right. You said you did a training for CPA.
Yes, CPS, Certified Public Secretary. Yes.
Okay. So is it also a selling point for someone who is pursuing this career?
Well, I would say initially it wasn't. Initially, when I actually did that program, it was out of that. Initially, I had looked myself ending up being a lawyer despite doing actuarial science. So, so initially that was my initial idea. So I had a faint idea of what I wanted to do. You know, the way you're in school and you're feeling like I want to be a doctor, but then all of a sudden you find you're doing another course altogether, but you still have that desire to achieve what you wanted to do. So when I was in school, that was in KU, I did a certified public secretary because I thought I would want to do legal at some point. But then technically, because then I had not joined the industry, and when I joined the industry, I discovered that actually you can still provide secretarial work within the pension industry, because within the structure of the industry, there are what is called the CEOs. The CEOs of pension funds are actually also called trust secretaries. So technically, when I was doing the CPS program, I didn't have the insight that I'll need that skill. So when I transitioned into a working life, I discovered that the first job I got after managing trainee at I worked for ICLI as a management trainee. Then thereafter, I moved to pension administration with GODWIN Africa for a period of 3 years. And then that's when now part of my JD was actually undertaking trust secretarial for pension funds. And it clicked on me. So that course I did way back is
it
now
wasn't a waste,
Now, later on, now I transitioned now from pension administration. Rose through the ranks, and I was the managing director for Octagon Pension Kenya, up to late of 2020. And then also beyond that, now I discovered as well that within the pension industry, you do a lot of advisory. So governance is one of the emerging issues in the industry at the moment. And for you to be a governance auditor, by law, you must have undertaken certified public secretary. So the jigsaw fits. So I always say the advice is that sometimes some dots connect to each other in life, but you never know where the line will be drawn. So keep doing what you're doing differently, sometimes you can find that it was actually by design that you were doing that.
So math is a necessity in this career field?
Substantially, if you are on the administration side, you must be analytical in nature, because technically you are dealing with member contributions, analysis, statistics, but that's purely when it comes to the administration side. Math is also good because then you find yourself also accounting for investments for pension funds, but that's just a small fraction within the industry. Because then there are still also finance people, HR people, there are a lot of human resources people within the industry. So HR is very critical. IT, information technology, is also very crucial because the way organizations operate now, and also the expectations of the stakeholders within organizations, they are technologically driven. So you need people who can actually jelly between the technical of maybe numbers and now the IT, and then you produce products that can scale businesses.
All right. As you've grown from different roles in different institutions, there are certain trends that have been changing with time. So how have you been able to actually move with the changing in times, changing in systems, and also changing in trends?
Right. Well, they normally say for all successful leaders, I think I look at that, all successful leaders are people who are actually always continuously learning. So my thinking and the whole framework of survival within an industry or a career is, number one, you have to be resilient to be able to anticipate that for every change that comes in, you must be able to adapt. Now, but critically, which is very important, and I think that has worked, is that you must continuously learn. You must continuously anticipate that a change can occur within your workplace, even including sometimes if you are not prepared, you can find yourself you are going home. I mean, in terms of you can lose your job technically, for example. So how then do you practically survive or thrive within that dynamic environment? So you must continuously learn, you must continuously anticipate changes, and you must network. Networking will open up doors because then when you network more, you have an opportunity to learn new things and also to leverage on those networks to take you to the next level.
All right. At what point of your career did you feel like, now I am a pro in whatever I am doing?
I think it is driven largely by experience. So I think it's the number of years you've worked in the industry, because as you know, the more you do same thing every day, you master it up. So at that point when I rose through, from management trainee to lead an organization, that's when the feeling of like, I think you're getting things right, right? Because then people don't trust you if you don't have the will to lead. So technically, the ability to lead is one of the key strengths, and also one of those things that you feel like you're actually being able to take into that. And also the fact that you are dealing with so many people, like as Finnet Trust, we actually train, we have a Finnet Institute that trains the pension trustees and also members in the retirement benefit space. So the moment people trust you that you can provide a service, and they still look up to you to actually guide them more, especially when it comes to issues of governance. It's more of leadership, it's more of setting directions for organizations. And if you find that trustees or the industry can give you an opportunity to train their top senior management or trustees, then it means they are doing the right thing. So there are things that you can always say, it's actually taking you to the right direction.
All right. Looking at the opportunities that are available in the pension industry, looking at that camera, please tell the young people the opportunities, and they just need to do certain things for them to reach the place where you are right now.
So I'll just summarize by saying that sometimes success is a combination of timing and also the opportunities that come within that framework of time. And for you to be successful, I think you must be able to identify your strengths that you have, which you can transform them and prepare yourself to attract those opportunities. And my thinking is that in the pension industry, you would find that there are quite a number of opportunities that exist, looking at the different functions we have, be it in actuarial science, be it in IT or information technology, in investments, human resource. So I would say sometimes what you have learned in school is not a limitation, but beyond what you've done or you've learned in school is when you should be able to identify the opportunities that come through. So keep continuously learning, learn new things, learn things that shape the world, shape the workplace, but also continuous personal development will actually set you apart. The other bit that you can also think about is that always leverage on networks, be able to be mentored, be ready to be mentored, and when you are mentored more, then you're able to be guided quite well. And then the networks or the people you work with and the people you associate with will be actually the people who can take you to the next level. So look at networks and also look at for additional skills that can make you be ready for that opportunity that may come in, and then that can now translate into success.
All right. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
And we really appreciate your time and allowing us to be in your space.
Right.
Thank you very much, and we hope for you to continue growing up the skills.
Right. Thank you very much. And from Finnet Trust, we wish you well, and always share the word of saving for pensions. Very critical, and I think all of us at some point will grow old.
Yeah.
But you just need that safety net to make sure that you are comfortable.
True. And now, as we finish, that last part, the saving part, convincing someone to actually make such a financial decision could be hard. Now, how do you do it?
It's quite difficult. I would say that for young people, they don't even think that it's important for them to save for pension. And I know most of us, even way back when we started working, it was not a priority. I think then you are busy consuming more than saving. But then what people don't realize is that time catches up with you. Just imagine, for practicality purposes, you are employed at 25 years of age, for example. You have another 30 years to work. That takes you to 55, right? Or 60 for that fact. So that's almost like 35 years of age. And if God gives you time, what you call longevity, and you live up to 90 years, it means then whatever you have earned in those 35 years should take care of you for another,
all those time.
Another 30 years. So look at that. Assume you delay that saving and you start saving at 40, because people want to say you want to start life at 40, you want to start being busy at 40. So it means technically you have 15 years or you have another 20 years to manage another 30 years in life. So convincing people sometimes will be difficult, but I think I've found people who are getting to 45, 50 years of age actually coming back to us and saying, we wish you would have started this way early. So if you are a young person, no, time will catch up with you. Increasingly also, the employment structures we're dealing with are becoming challenging. You can't be guaranteed that you can work forever. For example, you probably also want to have this gig kind of a work job where you are working shortly, you are leaving, you are moving to another employment. So changing jobs can also distract you up. So I would think and say that start setting your goals. The fact that you have a plan, a financial plan, make sure that your old age is also part of that plan, as much as you are planning for now. The same way you think, like, I want to get married today, or I want to have a kid, I want probably to expand. So think about the future tomorrow. And don't overthink about your children, because then, you know, sometimes nowadays they don't even bother when you retire. So plan around yourself as you also plan for your family, because it will be important for you to survive also during those periods. I'm sure the other day you saw an elderly man actually suing the son for not taking care of him in retirement, and it was actually in the news. So technically, people, when you get to that age, you have families, the old people are forgotten. So don't be that too old person.
So we start early.
Yes, and you are surviving in old age. You must live your life fully to the end.
That's true. This has been Meet the HR Show with me, Laurel. Until next week, bye-bye.